Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. This is the first video that I'm making for you guys on the restoration project of this HQ Holden Ute. So basically the car got given to us in this condition, as you see here. The paintwork leaves a fair bit to be desired, and the bodywork's still a little bit behind too. As you can see here, I'm giving you guys a good look around it to start off, and we've got some big bulgy bits of filler up there. Everywhere you see a bit of masking tape, I've gone around and just marked out my problem areas so we know where to focus on. There's a few ripples up there through the roof, a few ripples through those quarter panels, even out all through this firewall here. It's actually see-through. There's a very ugly thick orange peel all the way through it. There's spots where you can still see through to their primer. There's runs. You just about name it. There's everything that you could think of. Any paint fault you can just about think of, they've got it on this. So we've ended up returning this car to an extremely good, fully restored condition. So you can see through that quarter there's some slight ripples, and they've sort of lost that line that runs halfway through the top. It sort of runs around like the wheel arch sort of a shape. The doors weren't too bad. They just mainly needed a good block down with some 80 grit, then some 120 primed, and then re-speed filing. So there's a couple of spots here and there that needed just a little bit extra of a block than others, but on a whole, look, most of the work was done for us, to be absolutely honest. The guy that we are doing the job for, he welded new quarter panels on it. He had the thing basically down to a shell, treated all the rust, and he got it taken to, thought he'd get the spray painting and the finishing of the bodywork, sort of the filler work and stuff like that, done by a professional. So he's gone and paid these guys to do it, and they've done a really poor job on it. So he's then brought it into us, and yeah, we returned it to an extremely nice finish. He's wrapped with it, I'm happy with it, and just sort of take you guys through this video. So I'll probably end up making about 5 or 6 videos on this car. Obviously I'm not going to be including all the work on it, or else you'd be sitting down for a week and a half watching the footage. So I've edited it up for you guys, and I'll be including the main important parts. And so basically I'm just starting off on this quarter panel just with some 80 grit. The roof there wasn't so bad, so I was just able to go straight over with 180. There was one spot where I got some 120 onto it to bite in a little bit more, and just use the material that was on there, because it's already been painted actually twice before we got to it. The first guys did it, they did a crap job. Second guys did it, again did a crap job. So we're the third guys around to do it. I'm probably getting to the point where you wouldn't want to keep painting it too many times. Like, we had to get it right because we didn't want to keep loading more and more paint on, because if you start doing that, well then that can actually also lead to some other problems of having delamination. If you get like one little stone chip, it'll start chipping back into a really big section. So what we tried doing was taking as much off as we sort of could. So we're taking that paint down a little bit. So just 80 grit over that. You can see I've given it a good blow off. There was one spot just around that petrol flap that was still a little bit low. I decided it needed some filler in it. So I'm just mixing up some Worth, is the brand I'm using here. It's one of the best quality fillers that you can get. It's actually, if you use this stuff in just a little stone chip on a bonnet or something like that, you can paint straight over it. It's just as good as primer. So it's nice and fine. You get minimal pinholes in it. You get very minimal shrink back, if any, and it sands down really nice. It goes nice and hard too. So I just thought I'd include, just leave the entire piece of application of this filler in, just so you guys get an idea of how I get filler in if I want the job to look really nice. Now, previous to this video, you guys probably remember the Toyota Echo that I've done the hail damage on. That was just a quick smack it up bulk job. I never really cared about what that car was going to look like when it's finished. However, this job here, totally different. This guy wanted perfection and he got it. It's black also, so you're going to see any single ripple showing up in it. So that's why we've ended up actually priming these quarter panels twice. So we blocked them right down, and we got the owner in. We said, mate, what do you think about this? He said, nah, give it one more prime, block it right back again. And that enabled us to block it the first time with something nice and coarse. So we just got some 120 on it after this was primed, but I'll be taking you through those steps later on. So that's the filler in there. I'll give you guys a look at how it's sort of nicely feathered in through those edges, so you don't have any big step ups and step downs. If you get this part wrong, if you put the filler in not correctly on a colour like this and a big panel like that size, you actually won't be able to block it out properly, no matter what you kind of do. So what I'm doing just to start off here is just getting just an old piece of 80 grit that just happened to be on that block there. And what that's doing is taking off the top layer of filler. Sometimes that top layer of filler gets a bit sort of gummy and sticky. So then once I've got that top layer off, that'll stick up that old piece of sandpaper and just about ruin that old piece of sandpaper. Then I can go and get my long speed file, which is what I want to block this repair down with, and I've got some 80 grit on there. So just taking my time and just letting that block do the work. I'm really not pushing much pressure at all. If you do, you can start warping that panel, and as you push it in, it's going to change where you're sanding it for when it sits back out. It actually turned out that because the guy put his own quarter panels on these, and being that it's a black, we sat it out in the sun for a day or two to let it, a full day it sat in the sun, just to let it cure up nicely before we polished it the following day. And it ended up sucking right in, like the heat, obviously because it's black, the heat's gotten so hot on that quarter panel, and it's actually caused a low spot in there. And as soon as me and my mate seen it, I said, mate, I wouldn't fuss about that. There's not much we can do about it. Like, there's no glue in there holding it down. And I said, I bet you as soon as that cools down, it'll pop back out. And sure enough, it did. It's just one of those things. Yeah, I'll be giving you guys a good look over it once it's all finished. Take you right through priming stages, sanding the primer, masking. I've even got some footage of the polishing stage, which I know there's a few guys that like to see polishing. It came up really nice off the gun. I used DuPont Centauri 6000 base coat, which is actually being changed over to being called Chromax now. It's sort of changed hands. The company was sold or something, I think. And yeah, it's now called Chromax. And the clear coat I used was DuPont 696S with the standard hardener at a 2-to-1 ratio. So extremely good clear. It's sort of really goes really hard. It flows out nice, and you can really smash that stuff on. It won't solvent pop, and it'll just go on like glass. I was really happy with this clear. It's the first time I've used it in a long time. I used to use it when I was an apprentice, but yeah, not more just for under bonnets and stuff like that, and that was alongside the Glazerite. So I found the Glazerite a little bit better, but not everyone can afford to use the extremely expensive Glazerite on all their jobs all the time, and this is a great quality clear. It's sort of, to me, it feels like a semi-ceramic clear. It is so hard to polish. To me, that just says it's gone really nice and hard for you, so it's going to make it a lot harder to scratch, obviously. So the other materials I used on this job, we started off using some U-Pol Easy Fill, Easy Sand primer filler the first time, and I was quite happy with that. It got some really good results, and then once we ran out of that can, we ended up finding, I got some Concept, which thought it might have sounded like it was a little bit cheap stuff, but gave it a shot, and we were assured by the paint supply it's actually a good quality primer, and we gave it a shot on a couple of panels first, and I was extremely happy with it. For a cheap primer, I really do highly recommend giving that Concept primer a go. And yeah, so I'll be showing you guys the primer stage on this soon too. But as I mentioned before, I just decided to show you guys just the entire stage of blocking the filler out on this. Don't forget to give my videos a big thumbs up if you like them. I've officially earned myself a hater, so I've made it to the big time, that's the way I say it. This guy's gone and stolen my logo, used it on his own videos, and then claimed it to be his own. And when I kindly asked him to remove it. I got a rude reply, and he's then gone through and obviously given me thumbs down on all my videos. So do me a favour, give us a big thumbs up if you don't mind once you get to the end of the video. Also, comments, questions and stuff like that, whack it on a YouTube comment please. Private questions won't be getting answered anymore, especially the Facebookers are the worst for it. So if you want to ask me a private question, it's just not going to happen. If you want a Gunman shirt off me or something and inquire about something like that is a private issue, by all means, that's why I've got the feature there. There are some things that you don't need to share with the whole world. But yeah, I'm just not going to waste my time. There's enough questions and comments that everyone can read and join in that I can answer. For me to waste my time with private comments. So continuing on with that filler work, just making sure obviously you're running your hand over it at each stage. If you want to wet check it, you can do, but I prefer not to do that with the filler stage, because I found that if you were to use, say, wax and grease remover like you do, and if you continue to watch the rest of the videos, you'll be seeing how I wet check with wax and grease remover. I don't like to do that because the filler is porous, it's very porous. It'll actually suck the wax and grease remover in, and if you don't get it out, then it can be trapped in there underneath your primer, and I just don't like the idea of that. So I've also found it's not really necessary. Like, if you wet check prior to paint, but we've still got another chance to get this right. Like, if this isn't 100%, we've got primer we can put on, we can reblock that primer, we can re-prime it. So yeah, as long as you get it, say, 90%, anything above 90% of the way with the filler, you can then take it your next step with your primer. Just using nice long sanding strokes, and as I say, just always checking over it with your hand to make. And I'm pretty happy with how this one came up. Like for such a big panel, it's quite good. We spent hours and hours. I mean, like literally hours and hours on these quarter panels. They weren't that good to start off with, and we just primed, sanded and sanded and sanded. Like, I smashed the primer in here. I put probably five coats on the first time I primed it, and then we blocked just about all of it off, most of it off, and then re-primed where it needed to be re-primed. So the entire car just about got re-primed. We painted inside that tub as well. Basically the owner just said, mate, it's up to you. And I said, well, inside that tub, you may have noticed at the very start, it basically looked like it was matte finish. I asked him, I said, do you actually want a matte finish in that tub there? And he said, no, that's just whatever they've done, it just looks like that. So it wasn't meant to be like that. I said, I know, we'll do it. There was dust and a little bit of specks of dust and stuff all through it, so tied it up and made the whole thing look nice for him. So I'm pretty happy with that there. I then just went over the rest of the quarter panel, made sure all the edges were sanded, and we've then put it into the spray booth. As I mentioned before, I'm not including all the footage. You'd be sitting down and watching for hours and hours and like days if I was to put all the footage in, but I'll take you through the main steps of each process, and you'd be able to get the idea of what I've done. So those quarter panels, on those back edges of those quarter panels, they just left way too much filler in. It turned out I didn't have to put any of my own filler in there. I was just able to sand out what they had in there, in these top corners of the quarters. Blocked out most of it. That roof only ended up getting primed once, as I was saying, we're only re-priming spots that we had to. Like, we don't want to be totally overloading the products and materials. So just your first coat of 2K primer, I don't like to put it on too heavy. It's going to help with edge mapping, shrink back and stuff like that, because it's not going to be wet enough to move the paint that's underneath it, I guess. It's just like, if you ever get, guys will probably know if they get fry-ups and stuff like that, well then the best way to work around it is just to put it on dry. So that's part of the reason I like to put my first coat of primer on dry. I always like to do that. Then you start smashing on after that. Look, to be honest, it was probably a little bit too hot to even do this work, to do primer work on this day. It was probably about 40 plus degrees. and the primer being that it dries so quick. In hindsight, I probably should have waited till the next morning, but it really started, the overspray just really balled up. It just turned into sort of blobs and stuff like that, and yeah, it was sort of, it meant I had to thin the primer out a bit to sort of get it to flow a bit. And that's no big deal. It turned out fine in the end. So obviously, just your first coat of primer, only putting it over the cut throughs as well. Like, there's no need to go totally overloading the primer on everywhere else. So on this nose panel here, no need to prime the whole thing. There was just a few spots on there that was a little bit rough, so we just blocked them out. No need for filler. Same with this fender here, no need for filler. I just blocked out the material that we had there and just reprimed and then reprimed, blocked, then painted. So it was mainly the bonnet was pretty bad. Like, that needed about 3 times. That got primed 3 times. We blocked it right back with 80, primed, then blocked it with 80 again, reprimed, blocked it with 120, and then just spot primed it. So we'll be going through those parts on the next episode. So yeah, I've cut this down. I didn't include the footage of absolutely every single coat of primer. I've just included the first coat, part of this second coat, and then we'll have a look at the car once it's finished off. Be sure to hang around to the end. There's a gun review and also another good video that's perfect for beginners if you guys don't really understand some of the stuff I'm talking about here. I tried to dumb it down in this video, sitting in my spray booth there. I did 2 separate panels, one sort of emulating if you had a spray gun in a compressor situation, one if you just had rattle cans and just some hand sanding paper. So I think that video is actually starting to get some good views on it, and it's getting pretty popular. So make sure to check that one out. It's at the very end on the right. The one on the left is the Anastywater Ballaria review and demonstration. So if you guys want to learn how to spray paint like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all of my recent updates. And I upload 2 videos a week, which are now on a time schedule, which is 12 p.m. midday Perth time, Thursdays and Sundays. So globally, obviously the time is going to change. America is my biggest geography, actually followed by the UK, and also I've got a very big supporter in, of all places, Poland. So big shout out to the Poles. Thanks a lot for watching. And Russia's up there too in the Gunman Olympics. As you can see here, that's not many ripples left in it anymore. It's looking really nice. Awesome gloss level to it. Totally happy with what we've done here. The owner was wrapped with it. Anyone that was walking in and out when the car was finished off, they said it was great. So basically we were just contracted to sort of do the paintwork on this one. We didn't do much of the any of the welding, any of the sort of body, any of that side of things, and we didn't do any of the removing and refitting either. So he just come and took his car as you see it here. That's why I don't have a completely finished article for you guys. However, if I get the chance to get a video of it when it's all done, I'll make sure I upload it for you guys. So thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.